I'm Eva Respini, Associate Curator at the Museum of Modern Art, and I'm curator of the Cindy Sherman exhibition. There's one in particular that has stood out for me, and that's a recent work from 2008, Untitled number 466. It's from a series that Cindy did of women of a certain age from the top echelons of polite society. It's presented in this opulent gilded frame. You can imagine that maybe the picture is hanging even in her own home in this sort of grand foyer as you enter. And I sort of think of her as a grande dame. She's wearing this elegant blue caftan. She has fabulous gold earrings. Her makeup is perfect. She's wearing these great rings. If you look very closely, you see that this glossy perfection unravels. She's wearing these pink plastic slippers, the kind that you would buy at the dollar store. And she's wearing thick hose, the kind that you would wear if you had varicose veins. And I think Cindy is so brilliant in all of her pictures where there's this kind of juxtaposition between what we first see and then this other narrative, this darker narrative often. And there's a truth that's lurking underneath. She looks to be in this fabulous setting. Cindy made the picture in her studio. She photographed herself in costume against a green screen and then digitally inserted a backdrop, which in fact Cindy photographed at the Cloisters here in New York. The background certainly projects this aura of wealth and status. Cindy has this uncanny ability to sort of have her finger on the pulse at any given moment and to really reflect what's happening in culture at large. For example, with this work, Untitled number 466, she made it in 2008. And in a way, these works, just the sheer size of the works, they are 8, 9, 10 feet tall. And the fact that this work is talking about wealth, about status, about an aspiration to a certain circle, is something that is very timely and very much speaks to our current condition. It also reflects our current culture of sort of YouTube fame, celebrity makeovers, the Real Housewives TV franchise, all of those things that are part of our cultural language today, I think are very much embedded in not only this picture, but this body of work. The woman in this picture and the women in this body of work in many ways are tragic. And because they are presented in larger than life size, you can really see every detail. It speaks to this contemporary way of being and the fact that photography is very complicit in the way in which identity is manufactured today. The artist uses herself as a model only because it's practical. When she first started working in the 1970s, she didn't have money to hire models, and she became quite adept at working alone in the studio. She does all her own makeup, she buys all her own costumes, she poses herself, she doesn't have an assistant with her in the studio. In fact, it's kind of a private performance. To a certain extent, it's not important that it's the artist posing, using herself as her own model, because it's really about the kind of multiplicity of identity today. It's about the fact that we're all kind of blank canvases. It's about the fact that we all project identities, different identities constantly, that we put on different faces throughout our lives, even throughout the day. This is my professional face, this is my good wife face, this is my perfect mother face. Cindy Sherman is one of the most important and influential artists of contemporary art, and I would say of the 20th and 21st century. I really don't know a world without Cindy Sherman. My understanding of art, my understanding of photography, my understanding about identity and feminine roles and feminine stereotypes, I think is very much molded and seen through the lens of Cindy Sherman. This picture I think is really successful and my favorite because it sort of keeps me looking, keeps me guessing, keeps me wanting to understand the story behind this woman.